Hello. Okay, we are going to be looking at the L2L report. Now, there was a previous video about introducing the L2L. If you have not yet watched that video, make sure you watch that video first. Otherwise, this one will not make a lot of sense. What the aim of this video and of the L2L report is to help you evaluate yourself, to see how are you doing on the L2L. It also points out areas that you could do a little bit better. If you want to just give some insights on, oh yeah, I need to be doing that or this to do better. So anyhow, the L2L report was primarily created to give you feedback about your own recordings. So even if you weren't in this class, the L2L report is for anyone to help them see, here's what I'm doing well, here's areas I need to improve. It's not always just looking at how you sound and things like that. It's actually more focusing on how you practice and to give you ways to practice more efficiently in this same amount of time or less time even sometimes, to make the most of your practice time, to make sure that you are going to improve as accurately and as well, but also as quickly as you can. The report will also, if you are in the class, be coming to me and I'll get to look at that, and that helps me. I say that the report sings to me. And what I mean by that is I can generally look at the report, and if you are honest, I can see why you are improving or why you are not improving in your English. It almost always comes through in the report. Now, you're not going to improve your English in 1, 2, or even 3 weeks of doing the L2L. It takes time. The first few weeks are more just getting your brain used to it and starting to develop habits, but it doesn't always come through clearly yet on how you sound. It's usually around week 4, 5, 6, somewhere in there for those who have been working hard, when they really start to see the improvement and the difference that it's making. And this report will help me to see how you're practicing, to see why you are. Like, I've had students week 10 come and say, man, I'm just not improving. I'm working hard on the L2L, but I'm just not improving. And I can look at this, and usually it's they're not practicing enough or they're practicing incorrectly. And we try to catch that early so that you can make the most of your time. On the other hand, I've had students that started quite low and some started high, whatever, and they worked hard at the L2L and they just flew. They just really did. Their language just improved so much. And I have stories on that, but I won't share all of those here. But I'm going to walk through this self-report with you, and we'll start right at the beginning and just scroll our way down. So here we go. The first one is you will need to enter your email address in order to get into the second part of the questions. I just put a general email there since this is going out on YouTube. And I will also put my name here and Rob, and I'll just put Rob name, okay? Just because this is, again, going out on YouTube, so I'm not going to put everything on there. So there we go. I'm Rob, by the way. What day or time is your class? You'll choose that. And I'll put an option there after I make this video for any of you who are not actually in the class but wanted to play around with the L2L self-evaluation. You can do that as well. So what day was the L2L due? And even if you record early or late, when was it due? So maybe you want to get it done. Maybe it's due on Monday and you got it done Sunday night. Fantastic. Get it done. Put the Monday date as the due date. Or maybe you turned it into me late and put it as the due date here that it was supposed to be turned in. That way it'll line up in my gradebook correctly and I'll be able to find your correct information. Then you're going to choose the title or description for the L2L. Most of the L2Ls, if not all of them, have a title, and the titles are right here. And this list may change over time as I add and subtract L2Ls. But basically, you're going to find the one that you did, and you're going to click the box. I'll just click this one on there, but whichever. How many times did you imitate the recording this week? And so for that one, it's in total, how many times did you imitate? Now here's where we start to get some follow-up questions to see, are you doing it correctly? It says, are you practicing enough to not just speak along, but to imitate the details and develop language habits? And as we mentioned in the previous video, if you're practicing 20, 30, 40 times, you may start to sound good at the L2L. You may, man, I recorded, I sound good. but it's not helping you to improve that much yet. It's not creating new language habits. It may help you sound good on that one L2L recording, but it's not actually changing the way you speak and hear and listen to the language. It's not really helping to improve your language, just that one L2L. And we don't want to just improve that one L2L. We want your English language overall to improve. So as I mentioned, the minimum assignment is 80. But be honest here. If you practice 10 times and that's it that week, let me know and let yourself know. You practice 10 times. That will help me to help you. And so we're not trying to figure out what's wrong when it's a very easy answer. So anyhow, be very honest here would be great. But we'll put that we did exactly the assignment. Now again, I've had students practice 100, 200. I've never had anybody go beyond 200, I don't think. Maybe I have a few, but a lot of times. And so if you practice more, great. The more you practice the L2L, the better. This is one of those instances that more practice is better. That's not always true on things, but in this case it is. And then you're going to look at roughly how many times did you imitate each day. And I do have a sheet available, and I'll talk about that on a different video, that helps you keep track of all of this, of how many times you practiced each day. But basically what you can do is day one is whatever day the new L2L is assigned. So we'll assume it was assigned on Monday, just for simplicity sake. So day one would be Monday. If you're in a class where the new L2L is given to you on a Wednesday, then day one would be Wednesday. And that's the reason I don't put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here, is different classes, depending on the scheduling, might be on different days when the L2L is assigned. But whenever it's assigned, so in case it's Monday, it'd be Monday, day one, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then day one again is today, back to day one, okay? So how many times did you practice that first day that you got the new L2L? Maybe you practiced a lot. You really hit it hard that day, and that'd be great, actually. And then day two, you did quite a bit. Day three, you're really hitting it hard at the beginning, which honestly is the best way to practice. And then maybe for the rest of the days, I'm not going to say coasted. Maybe day seven, you just took the day off. Maybe take off on Sunday. So, that's what I often do. I'll take off on a Sunday. So maybe nothing. And then that morning before you recorded, maybe you practice 5 times. Okay. I didn't do the math there to see if that seems accurate. I'm just doing make-believe numbers right now. But if I had 80 here, I don't know. I'd have to see if that's right. But you get the idea. It's filling in how many times you practiced each day. And this up here is how many times you practiced overall for the entire week. And the question here is, are you practicing regularly to really develop habits, or only on a few days to prepare for class? If yours looks like this, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and maybe you're a good student, you really want to do what you're supposed to do, so you did like 80 times the day here, 80 or whatever, 30 here, and you're really doing a lot on these days, in reality, even if you practiced 100 times over these days, your English isn't going to improve all that much. It's too quickly. You're better off practicing more at the beginning of the week is ideal. And if you go down then a little bit later in the week, once you've got it, just refining and stuff, that's fine. But to practice a little bit every day. And if you do take one day off, no big deal. That's fine. But when you have that spread over several days, what happens is you practice a lot one day, and then you go to sleep. And it's still processing in your head. And the next day you wake up, you practice again, and it goes deeper into you. It refines, and it helps you to learn it better. And then you go to sleep, and that on and off cycle really helps you to do well. My suggestion is often when you wake up in the morning, practice 5 times, okay? Then sometime before lunch, practice 5 times. Sometime before supper, practice another 5 times. And then before you go to bed, practice 5 times. So you're never really practicing in that case more than 5 times in a row. So your brain doesn't get tired of it. But yet that gives you 4 times of 5 each, 20 times of practicing a day. That will really, really help you if you do that over the span of 6 or 7 days. That's a great way to practice, to spread it out. All right. Next it asks, did you look at the transcript on recording day? And again, if you need to look at the transcript after you've had the new recording for 2 or 3 days, even that same day you get it, you're not practicing enough. Your goal can be the same day you get the new recording, practice it, look at the transcript, make sure you're doing things correctly, and then get rid of the transcript. You don't want it. It will hurt you. Because when you're reading with your eyes, it changes the way you speak, and it will hurt your practice. You may sound good to you because you'll sound like your language more when you're reading, but that doesn't mean you're sounding good the way English is supposed to sound. So did you look at the transcript on recording day? You shouldn't be looking at it at all that day, but even well before that, you shouldn't need it. Which best describes your situation when recording? And you're going to check all that apply. So are you recording it from memory when that final recording? Great. Are you recording it while listening? And you really do need to, I guess you don't need it. So I've changed the way I do the L2L a bit. So which one you're doing. And this one is really going to be either or. If you're doing it from memory, you're not listening to it. If you're listening to it, you're not doing it from memory. So it's one or the other. And are you looking at the transcript? Now, again, you shouldn't be looking at the transcript, but if you are, check this, and I'll talk with you, not in a mean way, but just to remind you and encourage you. You don't need it, and it's hurting you. So you shouldn't be needing that while recording. Optional, if you do have any other comments you wanted to make, something you want to let me know, put it here. You don't have to do that. This question is totally optional. All right, now, that is the very short L2L evaluation. And sometimes I will assign for you to just do the short evaluation. It's quick, it's easy, that's it. But especially when you've just started the new L2L for a few weeks, we'll have you fill in the longer self-evaluation. And honestly, students used to have to fill in the longer one all semester long. Because it is a good reminder on what you should be doing. But I've put that as a way to shut that off now. But for right now, we're going to say yes. Ask me more questions. And this is a great way to practice and to make sure you're doing the L2L correctly. So we'll click yes. Now, if you forget to answer a question like I did, it will remind you. It's going to highlight it in red like that. So we'll just say that this one is due on the, well, but it's due today. Today's Monday, and they're often due on Monday. So there we go. Due date, and we'll try again. And again, if you forget a question that you need to answer, it will remind you. All right. Now we're going to get into some in-depth questions, and we're going to start by evaluating your practice. This has nothing to do with how you sounded when you record. It's all about how did you practice. Recording day is really just accountability for your practice. That's where your language is changed, not on recording day, but on your practice days. So this is the most important part of the self-evaluation. The first two questions in here, really you already answered. It's how many times did you practice this week, and how many did you practice each day? Those are probably the two most important questions about your practice, which is why I put them on the first sheet there for the short evaluation, because those are very important. These are additional questions which are also important, but not as important as those two. So the first one, which best describes how you practice when listening to the recording? And it gives some choices. Are you just thinking along? You know, maybe you're listening to it and you're thinking along with it. And you may sound really good when you're thinking along in your head. Maybe you're speaking along. You're just sort of saying the words, but you're not really imitating. The rhythm's off, the intonation's off. You may get every word correct, but it's not really imitating the way they said it. Imitating is where you're really focusing that your intonation, your rhythm, your pronunciation, you are doing your best to truly imitate the recording, the person speaking, okay? Performing is a step even better than imitating, and this is where your body language, your hands, your face get involved, and you're reflecting like an actor the emotions and the body language that might be used as you're listening to the speaker. And the comment there is, are you doing your best to really imitate or even perform the way the speaker talks, not just speaking along? If you're just sort of speaking along, you may sound okay, but it's not changing your rhythm and intonation. If you're just listening, you may sound great in your head, but to actually get your mouth to do that is a completely different skill set. It's very important that you're imitating or even performing. All right, next one, we'll say we're imitating. Next one, what is usually your situation when practicing? Are you focused on the L2L, or are you doing other activities more? Both are good, and there's a place for both. As I mentioned, focus time helps to refine the difficult areas, while both focused and less focused times help to just give ongoing practice, more practice. So both are good. At the beginning, you may need more focused time to learn the L2L and to do it well. And then once you've got it, maybe you take a walk, maybe even do dishes or something, other activities, while you are practicing the L2L, and that's fine. If you notice there's an area that's difficult for you, you might need to go back and focus on that area for a little bit, but both are good in their different ways. All right, I'll say we're focusing. Again, I'm making up answers here. Next one, which best describes your feelings towards practicing the L2L? You may say, who cares about my feelings? It's homework, I do it. Okay, well, there's three choices here. One is you enjoy the fun or challenge of imitating the recording. You think it's sort of fun. And okay, next one, not much emotion. It's just homework and I get it done. All right. Or you're frustrated. It's just hard. It's frustrating. All right. Now I'll tell you, if you're frustrated and you know you're frustrated, you go into it frustrated, what happens is your body just sort of shuts down. Your mind shuts down and you may do it, but your body can't improve. It knows I don't like it. I don't want to improve. And your body actually shuts down. But this, fortunately, is a choice. You can choose to go in with a positive attitude and say, okay, I'm going to turn it into a game and see how well I can do this week. And if you can get to where you actually enjoy it and it's a challenge, not only is it more fun, you'll actually improve more because your mental state, your brain, you're ready to receive it and to improve, and you'll actually improve more. So I said, if you can think of the L2L as a game, a fun challenge, instead of just a chore to get done, this positive attitude will help you to not only enjoy it and practice more if it's a game, but to have the mental state to improve more quickly. You'll actually do better overall, not just on the L2L, but in your English. All right, next question. Oops, I have a typo there, I'll fix that. Do you understand what you are saying as you are imitating? And yes, I understand, or no, I don't. I one time had a student, she was practicing a lot, she did very well, but her English just was not improving. We both saw it. And I said, this L2L sheet, self-evaluation, the L2L report, sings to me. It lets me see why people are or are not improving. And hers was not singing the song I needed to hear because she wasn't improving. I couldn't figure out why. She was doing everything right. And finally, I just asked her, do you know what you're saying when you do the L2L? And her answer was, no, I don't. She was truly just imitating sounds. It wasn't even words to her. And it's very important you understand. If you don't know what's being said, that's what the transcript is for, to look at it, to see, okay, here's what's being said, and then to get rid of the transcript and practice without it. But it's very important that you do understand what is being said. All right. How many times did you look at the transcript when practicing out of class? Approximately. I know you don't know exactly, but you'll just choose roughly how many times did you use it. And preferably we're not using it too often, although if you are, let me know. And it says, are you using the transcript to help you learn the words, but using it no more than 25% of the time? Honestly, out of 80, you may, for some of you, once you learn how to do the L2L well, you may only need it 1 or 2 times just to check your words and you're done with it, but no more than 25% of the time. All right, next, from 1 to 10, what do you rate your practice? Okay, we have here from 1 is, I didn't try hard. And if you did, maybe it was a busy week, maybe you were lazy, whatever it may be. 1 to 10, you know what, you really did work hard. Again, this isn't saying that you sounded good at the end, but your practice, how did you do? Are you striving to perfect the talk, or are you just getting through it or relaxing on difficult areas? Again, if you're doing well, but those hard areas, it's just those short areas, I'll just skip that. That is not good. You need to get the hard areas are the areas to focus, because usually that's where the most linking and blending is, which will really help your English when you can get those. And if you get it for a few weeks, you'll be good. That will really help you for the future. It reprograms you to make everything easier. Again, do you have any comments about your practice? You can write them here. It's up to you. You don't have to write anything there. Now we're going to look at evaluating your recording, which is a shorter section than the practice is the major section. How many times did you repeat the L2L just before your saved recording? And the sub-question here is, are you coming to record, recording, and you are done? Basically, you don't need to practice. You've been practicing all week. Recording time is not practice time. It's recording time. It's time to just come in, do it, hopefully just record it once. Maybe something happens and you need to do it again, that's fine. But at the time, just come in, record it, and be done with it. Or are you using this as practice time? And just before recording, you're practicing a whole bunch of times, which in reality, you may sound okay on the recording, it may help you, but it means you're not practicing enough during the week, and it won't help your English. It might help you sound good on that recording, but it won't help your English to improve, and you're just wasting your time. I hate to have people waste their time. So how many times did you repeat it? And maybe once, maybe just do a quick review, that's fine, but hopefully we're not doing that very much. So maybe just one time, or even if you just came and recorded, and a lot of people do, record it, done, no practice, 0 times. You practiced all week, you don't need to practice now. It's recording time. All right, next one. Did you record straight through or pause the recording? I don't run into this problem very often, but I have had a few more technologically advanced students who like to, they'll do a little section and pause, do a little section and pause, and so on and so forth. That is not helping your English at all, because the major thing we want to work on with the L2L is the rhythm. And the rhythm is that continual flow. If you're stopping all the time, you don't have the rhythm. So it's very important you're not pausing in the middle of recording. So I said pausing may help with the words, but not the important rhythm, etc. Do not pause while recording. But if you do, re-record it without pausing. But anyhow, if you do pause it, let me know, mark that you paused it. And then again, I'll talk with you, not in a bad way, but just a why. What's the problem with that you need to? And I want to help people improve. I love doing that. So then this is the point. If you haven't listened to your recording yet, which you probably have, because a lot of people finish recording and right away listen to themselves. But if you haven't listened to your recording yet, make sure you do it now. And it will even ask you, did you listen to your own recording before answering below? Did you carefully listen and evaluate? How are you doing? How are you improving? What are areas that you need to practice and focus more? So did you listen? Hopefully, yes. From 1 to 10, how do you rate your recording? Oop, I changed these sentences before making this video, so I have a few typos I'll need to fix. Should be a question mark. 1 is not good. You know, I sounded horrible. The other one is near native. I sounded really good. And how do you rate yourself on that, wherever? And again, there's always room for comments. Are there any comments you would like to write about your recording? All right. And if not, you just leave that blank. The last section is evaluating yourself. And from 1, already satisfied, to 10, a strong desire. What is your desire to improve your English? All right. So 1, and there's not a right or wrong answer here. I've had students come in that, you know, they're satisfied with their English. Like, I'm doing fine. I don't need to improve my English, but my parents or the school or somebody said I need to take ESL, or some just, I'm new to the US and I thought it'd be good to start with ESL just to get used to being back in school and stuff like that. Whatever your reasons, but I've had people who they're already satisfied with their English. And if that's you, that's fine. Check that. It helps me to know that. Some people come in and they're like, I need to improve. I want to improve. Sometimes it's people who've been working already for a while and they realize I need the language. Whatever. I want this. 10. Okay? Whatever. And just wherever you are. There's not a right or wrong answer on this one. And the next question is, does your effort, as shown in your answers about your practice, reflect your desire? So my example here is, let's say you put 10, a strong desire to improve. And when it asked you, how many times did you practice the L2L this week? You said 10, okay? Now remember, the minimum is 80. You practice 10. You say you have a strong desire to improve, but you only practice 10 times. The answer here would be no. Your effort does not reflect your desire. And I want you to think about that. I want you to realize, I say I want to improve, but I'm not working to do the work that needs done. And so this might be a wake-up moment sometimes. Okay, optional. Are there any comments you would like to write about yourself? Just anything. Sometimes people want to know, I was sick this week on the recording or something. Well, although they might put that on the recording comments as well. So that's that. And then at the bottom here, there's an option for even more questions that go in more depth. So these ones will have to do more with the actual, what are ways you sound good? What are specific areas you need to improve to evaluate yourself? I am not going to look at those with you right now. As the in-class assignment, I rarely assign to have to do those questions. We may do an activity with them in class, but for right now, I'm going to put no. If you do click yes on that, I'll make another video that's a separate video to try to keep this one as short as possible that goes into those additional questions, all right? And then I'll hit next, and when I hit next, I'll see if I forgot to answer any questions, which I did. From 1 to 10, how do you rate your practice? And I'm not actually practicing right now. I'm giving an example for you, so I'll just click 7, and let's see if it'll let me do it now. Okay, perfect. The last question here is honesty and integrity. And it says, my integrity, that means who you are, that what you say you are, who you say you are, is true. Your honesty, who you are, is more important than a grade on an ESL assignment. Sort of like talking to myself. If I didn't put enough effort in this week, I was honest and kept my integrity, and we'll fix the problem by doing this next week. So if you didn't practice this week, you know you didn't do well, be honest. Say, I practiced 10 times, or I didn't practice at all. Hopefully that's not the case. But if it is, be honest. And then it asks, did you answer every question truthfully? Are you being honest with yourself and others about how much effort you really put in? A lot of times we don't just lie to others on this. We sort of lie to ourselves. We try to say, well, I did all right. I practiced okay. But if we didn't do at least the 80 minimum, if you were just listening instead of imitating, we sometimes minimize that, and we need to be honest with ourselves as well as others. So hopefully you were honest. If yes, click yes. If you weren't, click no. All right, and that'll be a wake-up call to you that maybe I need to be more honest on that, or go back and practice some more if it's not too late for that. So, and then we'll hit submit, and when you do that, it tells you you got it all submitted. So that is the L2L self-evaluation. And I hope that that is useful for you. So the L2L, I'll post for the different classes on how you can get to the self-evaluation and how you can use that. But again, the L2L is the most powerful tool that I have found to help people improve their speaking, their listening, and then by extension, their grammar, their reading, writing, just your feel for the language. And that report there, the L2L report, is designed to help you see what are you doing well, where are you using your time to the best purposes to improve the most improvement with the least amount of work and time. You still have to work, but to make the most of your time and not to waste time. We don't want to waste time and waste your effort. So with that, enjoy. And I do hope that you'll, especially at the beginning, really push through. I know the L2L can be hard at the beginning, but it's a very, very powerful tool to helping you improve your English as quickly and as well as possible.